Okay, we are live again with Mascus Insidious, and this time we are with Jinzo&Tonic, who placed third in GFC Euros. How are you doing, Jinzo?
Oh, I'm very good, thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. We definitely, well, I don't know if the others agree, but I think you definitely brought the most unique deck to our tournament today. It's on screen right now. I want to start off by asking because we obviously know each other already before
Yeah,
this tournament.
yeah.
Why have you brought 42 cards to these tournaments?
Well, first off, I've all the decks that I've previously made, obviously they haven't all been 100% competitive, but my whole goal with my channel has been to showcase just creativity. I want people to look at new goat format cards and be like, "Oh, wow, that could work with this combo." And that's come into play with my 42 cards. I understand the concept of having 40 cards, you better percentage of getting the cards that you need, but with 42 cards you can still do really good. You can do really well. Like it just gives me just those two extra cards that I may potentially need in the duel, and that's why I played it. That's just my defense. So people can agree or disagree, but that's just what I've done.
There's no defense needed here because it's clearly worked for you. Like, am I
Yeah.
right in thinking that this used to be a 40 card deck, but then you loved Nimble Momonga so much and you thought, well, there has to be another two slots, right, dedicated to the Nimble Momongas?
Yeah, so it used to be 40. I've been playing around with Nimbles and Gravekeeper Spy. And with tournaments, I wanted to just have a little bit more life points because I knew a little more people were just going to be like aggressive, and I didn't mind when people knock Gravekeeper, like it just thins your deck and you gets rid of them. But with the Nimbles, at least I have a little bit more defense and I get the life points up, which plays into what I kind of wanted.
Yeah, and that especially helps when you side Cyberstein in the side deck. You need at least
Yeah,
20,000 life points.
great. Yeah, I never got to use this today, but that also does help quite a bit.
What do you use Cyberstein for specifically?
I almost want to use it against decks that feel like aren't expecting it. Today, a lot of people were the meta currently is very trap heavy, so it wasn't going to do a lot. I couldn't have an opportunity to play it, but I would generally play it in decks like if I went against a Crane Gate, because a lot of the time they can brick, and then I can just keep it in hand for that opportunity of OTKing them, and then they don't see that coming. But I didn't have that opportunity today. Every deck I played, except for my first match, seemed to be some form of chaos variant,
Yeah.
and they're very early, so to get that combo off would have been very very difficult.
What's your strategy against Chaos then? I mean, well, we got to see it firsthand today. I notice you run Royal Oppression quite a lot against Chaos, which
So what I found about chaos and chaos recently, I mean, before this tournament, they weren't using a lot of cards that a lot of trap cards that discarded like cards from their hand. They were mainly relying on Graceful Charity and hand destruction or card destruction. So so what I would do is I just stall them out. Like I don't like to stall and burn people. I like to do a little bit of both, where I can hit them with my panda and hit them with burn at the same time. But with regards to chaos games, I try and basically not get their monsters into grave, so I won't hit their darks or their down monsters because I don't want to get their chaos sorcerers on the field. Um, that's kind of my strategy against all chaos decks. I would just kind of stall them out as long as possible, get the tokens out on the field, limit their attacking options, and then just take it from there.
what about Desk then? You mentioned the discard traps. Does this mean Desk has been less useful for you recently? Because when I
To
watched
be
your
honest,
matches,
yeah, yeah.
it definitely felt like it was less effective than maybe it would have been when you were first testing this deck.
100%. It did. Desquala did come in very handy in my first matches. But later on into the tournament, like how the skill level increased, Desquala definitely fell off. If I were to do it again, I would definitely sub him out and put in my grandmaster, my Ninjutsu grandmasters rather than him, which I was putting in, but I should have taken them out for the koalas. Definitely.
Yeah, I mentioned this to the others, but I know that this deck is almost kind of like your signature deck because I met you last week for the first time, and
Yeah.
you had it in a really nice wooden styled deck box,
Yeah.
as if like it's your baby. So
it definitely is my baby. It was the idea was given to me by this person called Dawson. Well, he goes by the name of Milan. He no longer plays Goat format. Sadly, he never got to play in any Goat format tournaments. But the man is gifted with regards to just ideas and deck builds. And he and I were basically playtesting this deck with each other and like building it to what it is now. And that's why it's not 100% complete because we couldn't almost get it there. So I'm trying to perfect it basically.
yeah.
Yeah, but it is my baby. It's definitely I didn't want to become a burn player because there's like the stigma behind it, but I've actually just come to terms with it. Like I'm a burn player. Like I just need to get used to it.
Let's quickly talk about your match with Curves. The match that knocked you out. To me, it looked like the first game it just was what it was. You got knocked out because he drew so well. There's nothing you could have done. Although I do think you did give up maybe a bit too soon. But the third match, I felt like you struggled against Royal Decree there. So do you reckon you'll change your battle plan with regards to Royal Decree now, because it is common?
Be honest with you, in that game, yes, I struggled against Royal Decree. I will give you that. But in previous matchups, when people play Royal Decree against me, it's almost like a hit and miss because if I am able to get my Ojamas out and then they play Royal Decree, it's my game. And the reason that being is because then Panda becomes unstoppable. Royal Decree in a lot of games actually helps me win in this burn deck. People don't see that often, but that's just how it is. What I would want to do is maybe play more cards to try and get rid of those. But it's never been truly a massive problem for me. Like I've never always feared Royal Decree when it brings it out. Like if it gets activated, I'm like, okay, I'm not like, my game's over. There are ways to play around with my deck.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I get that.
That's why I put 2 Mobius Monarchs in my deck, mainly for clearing that.
Yeah, for that very reason. You do main them, of course, which is
Yeah.
becoming a bit on trend recently. But you were playing them obviously before it was cool. So Ojama Trio, when you have your Ojama tokens on there, there's always the decision of whether to attack them or to leave them on your opponent's side of the field to make sure they're clogged up, or maybe even get the second copy.
Yeah.
So what did you find yourself doing more out of those two strategies?
Usually I would attack them. But in today's tournaments, I try to clog them as much as possible, just due to them all playing chaos. I wanted to give them least chance of them getting any form of monster into grave and getting their big guys out. So I try to just completely eliminate them, and I won a lot of games today by completely just locking them out. And then I can just draw whatever I need to draw, and them drawing just is downfall for them. And that's another thing that why my deck does well against chaos, because chaos does well with getting resources. So they're just piling up their hand, piling up their field, and then I just hit them with burn, boom, 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 and they struggle to read that, especially in the first game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult deck to read in general. I mean, did this deck used to run Rescue Cat, or am I mistaken?
There is a Rescue Cat variant. So the deck came from a Rescue Cat OTK initially.
Yeah, see that with the last will. I wanted to ask you about that.
Yes. I didn't. I only got to use it once today, but it works very well with if you want to crash your. So personally, last will for me works well in any and every recruiter deck. Full stop. That's just my opinion. Because if you crash, if you tribute, if you exile force, I get my Lily out and I can just hit you with 3-4. I can get another recruiter out. I can get another panda out. It helps me just if someone is very trap heavy and they're like mirror force, and I'm like, okay, last will get it. And I think the game just before Scully, I did that, which helped me win the game.
Do you ever see? Because it seems like to me the only way that you can trigger it is, like you said, through crashing the Monarch summon and exile, of course. So a kind of like it feels like it's a little reliant sometimes on your opponent having stuff. I guess not with Mobius. Like you could use it with Mobius and not have to clear anything just to get the extra card from it. Did you ever find yourself where you were just like, I'm gonna try to push damage through, so I'm gonna last will and use it sort of like a trap stun?
100%. I did that. I've done that many times in this tournament and previously, where it's almost just like a safeguard where I'm gonna take life points off you this turn, like no matter what, like I'm gonna hit you. If you're gonna stop me, like it's still gonna happen. I found myself, especially today, taking it out in game 2 and taking out my wave motion cannon, because it's just how the games were going. They were very fast paced, especially with my deck and with all the like traps and heavy storms. I just felt like they weren't ever going to be stayed there long enough for it actually to do damage. So I found myself taking them out. But in the beginning matchups, it comes in quite handy, especially with, I'm going to say, unexperienced players in the game, where they will just, they won't wait out the Sakuratsu armor or something along those lines. That's where it comes in.
Okay. Has anyone got any other questions they'd like to ask?
How did your matchups today? You played against SDL Killa, James, Scully, all pretty prominent players within an hour.
How could we forget the Scully match? Do tell. Of course you
know. Man, I would just like to say that I've been wanting to play Scully ever since I found out who he was. Just with regards to how iconic he is in this GOAT format in general, like what he's contributed. And I've always wanted to play him, but he's a very busy guy. So every time I've tried to reach out to him, unfortunately, he hasn't had the time. So it was like it's probably the game, even though I lost the last 2 games I played in this tournament, that was the game I was fearful the most because of just the hype, and I just knew how good he is. Like with regards to like me playing and how I prepared myself and got better at GOAT formats, is I want to learn how to play every single deck there was, because I found that if I can play a deck, I know the weaknesses, I know what beats it, I know how I learned. And just knowing Scully and what he's been through and the knowledge that he knows, like he knows how to play against everything. And that's why going into that game I was like, oh, I was a little bit fearful, but I came on top with a lucky draw at the end. But it was a good game.
Yeah, I was very happy for Scully that he did actually get to play in a tournament for once.
Yeah,
of course he's usually just stuck playing. Hosting the tournaments instead. So it was nice for him to be able to, flex, essentially.
Yeah, I know, and he's you just know when you're playing someone that's good. Definitely when I got to Scully, from Scully onwards, like, no, don't get me wrong, everyone I played before him was decent, but when you get to that level in the tournament, everyone there just knows what they're doing and how to do it. So it was great, a lot of fun.
So you are a veteran with this Panda Burn deck, we can say.
Yeah.
Is there anything that did not work in that deck today and that you would consider switching?
I want to look at the side deck a little bit more, and definitely look, obviously in the main deck, I've been a little bit detached from this GOAT format meta, should I say, especially due to lockdown. So I need to just readdress what's topping, what cards I can put in to kind of counter what's happening at the moment. Funny enough, I just joined today because I was very excited that it was a European tournament, and I was like, I'm very confident with this deck because it's the only deck I mainly play. So I think what took me through as far as I did is just because of my knowledge of the deck. But I think I definitely need to go to the drawing board and just edit it a bit. I actually do, funny enough, have a newer version of it that hasn't been seen yet. I didn't want to play it today because I'm not 100% confident in it, but it's in like the drawing board. I'm gonna say it's 95% there, and hopefully I can play it in the next tournament.
I think that's the best way I could describe this deck as well, because it's clearly a good deck and you're very comfortable and skilled using it. But I would say outdated almost, from like you say, being quite detached from the meta. Like there's a few things here and there that could probably be taken out or swapped. I mean, like I won't get into specifics, but for sure, I can't wait to see what you bring next.
Yeah, thanks. I'm actually very keen to try Monarchs. Funny enough, I don't think it'll do as well as this deck, but I have another. I'm gonna say Dawson Jinzo deck that does very well. And I want to try and see if that does quite well in this tournament.
Yeah, well.
One more question.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the hype behind playing against someone like Scully.
Yes.
What advice would you give to someone who is perhaps newer to the community and they're told, "Oh, you're playing against so and so," and so it's easy to get hype and anxious behind that? How did you handle it?
It's
so nerve-wracking, huh?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I was nervous. I went into that game nervous because there's this he's almost put on a pedestal, you know, like, oh, it's a Scully, this man's in charge of GOAT format. You almost just need to breathe and just play your game. Like it's easier said than done, but if you're truly confident with the deck, you know how to play it. Like if you just know what you need to do, just do it. If you're a new player coming to the game and you still trying to figure out what style works for you, what works for you, like it's tough. And that's why the people that are coming on top of these tournaments, they're very good players, but you will see that they're like the pioneers of these decks that they've made and created. Like they've made it their own. And a lot of the people that have entered these tournaments, I almost want to say copy and paste these decks. So they're still trying to find their own vision, their own like creativity. And that comes with just playing. Like I said, like I put out a new deck every week because I want to learn every sort of GOAT format card, every deck possible, so I can just get better and help new players get into the game so they can see, oh wow, that does this, that's great, I want to try that, and then they learn a little bit more, get a little confidence, and then hopefully we can see the meta change.
I think you've hit the nail on the head, because I've tried to get this point across to people so many times who are like, I just want to play the tried and tested decks, they're obviously going to be better. But no, it's the pioneers who win, and it's the pioneers who are going to see success. So that would be, I would second your advice that you just got to have the knowledge and try your own thing, for sure.
Oh, for sure. And like, look, currently Chaos and Gravekeepers seem to be in every single deck, and Thunder Dragon, because they're clearly working right now. But then you need to get these people that go, right, what counters that? And then an anti-meta needs to come into play. And that's not going to happen if people are going to constantly just copy and paste decks that are doing well, because then it's just mirror matches at the end of the day. And then the people that are confident with those decks that are topping are just going to keep on topping because they know how to use it better than people using it against them, So I just truly want people to just be creative. Like go out there, there's so many websites showing you the card pool, the card list, the effects, and just have fun.
Well, I think that's a good message to end on. So thank you very much for coming on Jinzo&Tonic. Feel free to plug your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel. It's called Jinzo&Tonic. I post weekly GOAT formats, deck builds, and soon to be inviting players from around the world to actually share their decks. The first video will be coming out next Wednesday, and it'll be showing a deck that comes straight from Japan, which is quite exciting. And I just want to basically share to the world the different metas being played out there. So this I almost see goatformat.com being its own meta, where I want people to be like, oh wow, Japan's doing this, like we can integrate that here. So I just want the global voice of GOAT format to be heard.
Well, and of course, that will all be linked in the description. You can check that out. But we'll wrap it up there. So thanks for coming on. Congratulations on coming third. And
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.